Hey guys, and welcome to game number 11 out of 100 of the Mack vs. Machine series, where I'll be playing 100 games of Scrabble against the top Scrabble bot, HastyBot. The series currently stands at 7-3 in my favor, but HastyBot is on a 2-game win streak, so we're going to see if we can get some momentum back in game 11. And let's jump right in. Okay, so not the best start for us. HastyBot opens with Codina, and we have 6 consonants and a blank. So we're already down quite a bit to start. We could consider exchanging here, but probably Vent is worth it. CPT blank has enough potential to bingo next turn. I also like setting up the event hook and possibly the vents or events hook, just because I am already down, and having that increased volatility in lanes is good. It just means it's going to be a little bit harder for him to shut everything down in the long run. So I think Vent looks pretty good here. Okay, so he plays Adland, which doesn't score a lot, but we still don't have any vowels. We've drawn, I guess we drew GMW there, so definitely not what we wanted. Worth noting that Adland does take a B to make Badland, but we don't have a B. It's always good whenever a new word is on the board, just to take a second or two and quickly ask yourself if there's any hooks it takes, because that's one that's very easy to miss if you're not consciously looking there. So I see we could play Gulp through this A, which is 20. CMT blank is a pretty promising leave if we can pick up a vowel or two. I guess Coom does score more. That's 28. PTG blank I don't like as much. This is kind of close. So it's CMT blank versus PTG blank. The G really does put a damper on things, but what I do like about Coom is it sets up this lane for 7s next to AM, and we do have the P for amp. So that's kind of nice. Gop is probably a bit more closed in the long run. It does set up the Gops hook, but the top left is going to be a bit hard to access after Gop, whereas after Coom we also have this C to play through. So I think given that and just the fact that it is still 8 more points, I'm probably leaning towards Coom. I definitely don't love PTG blank, but I think Coom is better for us positionally, and I also just don't think this leave is 8 points worse than CMT blank. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. And we still haven't gotten the vowel. Wow. This is pretty crazy, guys. We now have drawn QMY. Is that right? Yeah, I think we just drew QMY. So now, is it now time to exchange, or do we play? I mean, we could play something like Gaipo here. It is 20 points. So that's an option. I guess, is that more? Yeah, it's a little bit more than Jip or Jim over here. Is that even worth it, though? It's important in this kind of position not to get too bent up over what just happened before, because I might be thinking, oh, well, now I'm just not going to draw a vowel. Let me exchange 6. That would definitely be sort of a going on tilt move here. I mean, what happened before, it was a bit of a fluke, but it doesn't have any bearing on what's likely to happen now. I do see, actually, the vowel number has already caught up to the consonant number. It's a perfectly even pool. So if anything, I should be doing the opposite of that and thinking I'm more likely to get a vowel. That being said, keeping the Q is obviously really bad here, right? Since I'm down almost 80 and I do need to bingo as soon as possible. So if I do exchange, which I might, the rationale wouldn't be so much like, oh, I just need to get rid of this stuff and get a vowel because I can't draw a vowel for my life. That's not good reasoning. Better reasoning would be, I need to get rid of the Q ASAP. And yeah, I don't know. Also with Gaipo, I'm keeping QMT blank. I guess if I draw an A, I can bail out with Cot and Tom next turn, but I just think it's too long a plan. I'm already thinking now 3 turns in advance before I possibly can bingo. I'm also shutting down some of my good lines here with the C and the O and the event lane. So it is 20 points, but I kind of think I should exchange here. I'm not going to exchange 6, though, since, again, that would be a little bit too much of a tilt kind of move and trying to get rid of everything. There are still some good tiles I have, so I'm definitely going to get rid of the Q, the G, the Y, Probably get rid of one or two more things. I kind of like keeping the M or the P because that way, if and hopefully when I do bingo, it'll score more. You could almost even make an argument for keeping MP, but that's probably a little too heavy. I'm thinking maybe just a M or just a P. I don't think it matters all that much here. Yeah, this is not a decision I would spend too much time on probably at this point in the game. There's enough R's and T's. I'm not going to keep the T. I don't think that adds too much value. I'm actually, I'm going to go for MP, just because I do think I'll be able to score a lot more with a bingo, and they do go well together. So I think I'm actually going to try this. Okay, so we are going to be bingoing this turn, which is much needed. And this is why I really think you've got to just exchange there. If I kept the Q, I still wouldn't really have a good place to play it. So let's see. I have temples and pelmets are the first things I see. Do I have any double doubles through the O? Complete is there, but it does not double double. I may want to play complete from this C though, just since I'm still going to be down to keep things more open. Let's see, I'm just going to quickly look through that O to make sure I'm not missing a double double, but I don't think so. Yeah, I don't even see any other 8s off the top of my head. So yeah, that's 78. If I play temples with vents, that's 77. So the score difference is pretty small. I think complete is a little better because it's also easier for him to score a lot more points coming back after temples with this E here. And also there's this double underscore open, and the triple openings are always more dangerous when there's these double underscores open, because he could easily get like a H or a W or a Y there and score a lot. So I think complete is probably a little more open for me in the long run, because I still keep the event possibility, and it makes it a little bit harder for him to deal with that, since now he's not. If I play temples here, then what I'm thinking is sort of plays through this T, or to this T, are naturally going to start exhausting the top left, whereas after complete, I'm sort of encouraging him to play down here and leave the top left open for me. So I think it's a little bit better in the long run to give myself more bingo possibilities. So yeah, let's go ahead and play that. Okay, so he plays Bud. We've got some clunky stuff here. Not a lot of tiles that go together in this rack. I'd love to get rid of, like, actually a lot of things here. At least one of my I's, one of my R's, a U, probably an L and an O too if we can. I don't see a lot of good options. I don't really see much through this DE. Rider is horrible. IOLU is pretty rough. Yeah, Noir is not much better. It's only 11 points, too. That's part of the problem. I'm not going to be able to score anything here. Maybe Liri, L-I-R-I somewhere? Do I have any? I don't even think I have anything here with Ob and Rut that I see that's worth playing. Do I have anything here? Loin is pretty bad. Maybe just Leary here. Is that even worth it though? Over like exchanging? OUR is pretty bad. Like I might almost want to just exchange and go for the better tiles that are still available. Or maybe something here. How about oil? 21. Yeah, 21 is probably worth it. RIRU is pretty bad, but I need to at least score some points. I think this is still probably better than Leary. Alright, I think I'm going to go for this. It's really not a play I want to make, but I just don't see any other options. Okay, so he plays Dentary to take out that spot. And we don't have much again. This is part of the problem with keeping that kind of lead. I'm really not putting myself in a good spot for the next turn. I see gyro here, but it really closes down my lanes, which I don't like. Oh, I think unrig is actually a lot better, because it plays off the same tiles and just keeps things a bit more open. I'm not too concerned about this spot over it. It's not that easy for him to use. He'd probably have to start with like HA to really cause damage. And it does open a few more lines, which I really need at this point. So I think this looks okay. Yeah, I think that's better than something like figure, probably. Although, figure isn't terrible. I mean, this lane is a little bit easier to hit. There's plenty of ease left for me to draw. Figure may actually be a little bit better. Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to go with figure, just because it makes it a little bit easier for me to bingo. Right, because on rig, without an S, it's not going to be that easy for me to hit that. Of course, keeping the E does have some benefit for event, but there's 7 left, and I'm so likely to draw another one that I think this is probably a little bit better. Okay, so we did draw another E. Unfortunately, we don't have a bingo here. Hairiest isn't going to work, but we do now have this spot down here where we can score with hair. Open up another line. We're staying within striking distance, so definitely far from hopeless at this point. Okay, Owliest, does it play? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Doesn't fit with Adlands or next to figure. Yeah, so I don't think Owliest plays, which is, of course, quite a shame. That would be really nice to get ourselves back in the game. So maybe just Ow? Could also play WO to be a little bit more proactive and open up another lane with the TO hook. I'm not really sure we need the lane, though, because we already have this R and the event hook. Although we don't really have... The problem is we don't have a space to end a bingo with an S, which could be really useful for us. Or a T for that matter, like we would have here with Outliest. So it does offer a bit more than we have so far, and it's not that easy to deal with. I mean, if he has a Y, I guess he can play Yam, but if he doesn't have a T, it's actually pretty hard for him to block. So it's a bit of an equity sacrifice, but I do need to bingo here. And I think this is reasonable here to open another lane. I'm also getting a bit low on time, so I don't want to spend too much more. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Okay, so he does have the P, and we have laziest now, but I still don't think it's going to play. As he unfortunately was able to use that spot. So now... Maybe I don't really want to play res because that blocks, or it takes away my E for event and blocks this R. I don't see a lot of other options, though. I do need to score something here. Huh, I don't think I can play in the corner here. I don't think I want to play lays and event and take away that line yet. Yeah, alright, I'll just go ahead and play res. I don't see anything better. Ah, okay. So he does get down Seriate. Saltiest, Slatiest, unfortunately, aren't going to fit through this S. Lattices through the C. Yeah, I don't think I have anything here, unfortunately. Your Talkiest. I think I need to open something else up here. Yeah, because I'm down 100. This is going to be a tough comeback. Maybe I just fish somewhere and try to score a bit and hope he doesn't block. That might be my best bet. Yeah, I mean, I do still have lanes, like with Adlands, so I think I'm just going to try to score a little bit, maybe with Edda, and hope he somehow can't really use the S. I think that's my best bet. Okay, yeah, this is pretty much over now. He was able to play there and didn't get what we needed. So, yeah, I'm down on time, so I'm just going to quickly play through the rest of this game, but this is going to be pretty much impossible to win at this point. I could even get rid of IY here. Yeah, I have no idea what to even do in this position. Yeah, I have no time. I don't know. Royalist. Yeah, I'm just gonna play this out. This is and now we draw the blank. Wow, I wouldn't have thought it would still be unseen. Yes. Huh. Interesting. Alright, I just I don't have any time. Okay, and I timed out here. So we'll I haven't had a timeout yet, but what I'll do is I'll figure out what the score would have been if I kept passing and he played out, and I'll just give him that. I think that's the fairest thing to do here. Yeah, so kind of a rough game for us in terms of the tiles. We just couldn't get any vowels early on, and I'm not sure I did the best job at managing the racks, but let's take a look and see what we might have missed. Okay, so he started with Codina. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything else here other than Vent. It still seems worth it over exchanging. CPT is a reasonable enough lead. Yeah, Coom, I think it's definitely between Coom and Gop. I didn't look at Compt, but GW is pretty rough. I think Coom, like I was saying in the game, just to give myself this lane with Amp and also this seat to play through is a little bit better. And 8 points is a bit. I just don't think GPT is that much worse than CMT. They are actually ranking pretty close in equity, which is interesting. So this is saying that CMT is actually about 7.5 points better, since this play scores 8 points less, but is only ranking 0.5 lower in equity. So that's actually closer than I would have thought, which could lend some credence to Gop being better, but I don't think Coom is bad. Just again, it does make the board a little bit more bingo friendly, I think, in the long run. Waff is a bit aggressive on his part here without an S. I think I would have almost definitely played Naft in this position, or maybe faked. Either one looked fine just to take out this hook, and there's really no reason to be making this kind of opening without an S when there's all 4 unseen and you're up 50 points. So I don't think this is that wise a play here. Not surprised to see plays like Gaipo, which I saw, or even Jim ranking above exchanging on static, but yeah, I think you have to exchange here, and I like keeping MP. They work well together. It doesn't really hurt my bingo percentage that much, and that way, when I do bingo, I'll score a lot more, as I did in the game. So I think this is pretty reasonable here. I don't think I can afford to be sort of slogging along and keeping MQT when I'm already down 80 points. Kegs looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks like complete, and then temples, templed, template. All of those are pretty much my options here. I think complete is fine. It scores the most, keeps things, I feel like, as open as I can, since basically, as I was discussing during the game with temples, if he plays down through this T and E, then I'm just not really giving myself as good access to the bottom part of the board, and I'm sort of inducing him to naturally close down the top left, whereas complete sort of spreads the board open as much as I can in all the different directions. So I think this looks pretty good, given I'm still going to be down. He played Bud, and yeah, this is a play I really wasn't sure of. Venturi is kind of cool. I didn't actually see that, but that may be worth it, just because, I mean, ILOR isn't good, but IRRU is so bad. So it might actually be worth it to sacrifice the 10 points and play Venturi. Yeah, I saw Ryder and Leary. There are no good options here. There's nothing great that I could have done. Oil does score the most. It's still worth it over exchanging. I mean, 21 points does help keep me within scoring distance, and IRRU is bad, but with a decent draw, especially with an E and maybe another consonant, it does have some potential to improve. It's not a absolute leave of death, so to speak. It's close, but it's not quite at that point. So I think for 21 it's reasonable, certainly over exchanging. Venturi is kind of nice too, just to open up a couple more tiles to start with, though. In the long run, that'll probably give me a better set of bingo options. So I think just for that reason, I probably would go with this. Although there is a problem with Venturi, though, and that's that it takes away my event hook, which is going to be a really good spot for me in the long run. Of course, I don't have an E now, but there's 8 to draw, so I'll certainly get one at some point. And yeah, that's actually a pretty significant drawback, because he's either going to have to leave it open or waste a turn blocking it later on, whereas after Venturi, I've sort of done that work for him. So given that, I'm sort of leaning towards oil again, just to score 10 more. And yeah, it's a worse leave, but I mean, it's not like ILOR is so good anyway. I'll probably have to spend another turn rack grooming anyway. That I think just scoring the additional points now and trying to keep as many of my good lines open as I can makes sense. So I think oil is not a play I was happy to make, but I mean, I think it's probably fine, just given my lack of options. Dentary looks good by him, scoring well and blocking that lane. Yeah, I mean, I saw Gyro, I saw on Rig. Venturi doesn't look good here again for the same reasons. I briefly looked at figure in this spot, but it's 2 more points. But it's important when you're down to be aggressive and play openly, but not to be too reckless. And this R here, it's a lot easier for him to score with this spot. He could easily play something like Jars or even just something like Wary or Wiry is an easy 40 points. Whereas after this figure, the one that I played, it's a lot harder here because now he can't really put a J there. I mean, most of the other high point tiles, there's not any words other than maybe a W with a couple possibilities. It's a lot harder for him to hit that, or also this spot here now at M9 with this double letter score is an easy way for him to grab 40 points if he has like a W or an H. So I think this figure, even though I'm down, the one I played is just a lot safer, and I want to give myself opportunities to bingo, but I don't want to give him easy opportunities to score 40 or 50 while blocking my bingos and then quickly extend his lead to over 100. So it's important to stay disciplined even when you're down a bit, and open, but not open too recklessly, because that could give your opponent the opportunity to both pad their lead and block at the same time, which is, of course, the last thing you want. So I think of the figures, I'm good with the one I played. Figure here really doesn't make any sense for the same reasons. Also, keeping just an I is not as strong as an I and an R for bingo flexibility. So yeah, as for Unrig, I definitely don't like Gyro at all because it blocks my hook. Unrig is fine, and I almost played it. It feels a little bit easier for him to deal with the opening, right? Because if he just plays above Unrig or through one of these tiles, then the whole right side of the board is starting to be shut down. But after figure, what I played here, if he parallels this R or this E, right, then I'll still have an opportunity to play on the other side, making a 3. And if he plays through this R, then he'll give me a floater here with a big line for possible 8. So it's not going to be as easy for him to just shut everything down after figure versus Unrig. So I wasn't worried about getting rid of my E since I see there's still 7 unseen. So I think figure, again, not a great play to make, right? It's only 12. I mean, nothing scores well, though, and I think it is the best for overall rack management and board management. So, I mean, again, not a play I want to make, but probably okay. Ohio looks okay. I do like that it starts taking away some bingo chances on the right. I don't love giving back this big scoring spot. There is still W, H, Y, X that I could use there. He's probably better off just playing Ohio here because it does also have good defensive merits starting to exhaust the right-hand side, and it's only 3 less without giving back that huge hotspot. You could go with halved here just to score the maximum number, but I don't like this. EIIO is very likely to turn quite sour next turn, and when you have a lead, it's nice to keep a flexible rack so you can deal with any openings that your opponent makes. So it scores a lot, but I think I would have gone with the other Ohio here if I were the bot. Yeah, hair looks pretty solid here. Not much else to really consider, I don't think. Let's see, he played Guyan. Yeah, this looks probably fine. You could consider sacrificing some points to block this E-hook, but I don't think he's up enough now to do that. There's other lines, especially since I just created this R. I don't think it's quite worth it, because he's only going to be up, he'll be up about 60, and there's scoring tiles. I think he's got enough other things to worry about that playing Guy here is fine. It also does partially obstruct the hook, right? I mean, now I have to end in an E, which is a lot harder than having an E in the 6th spot and ending in like ER or ES. And also, if I do bingo with event now, I'll put a tile in this triple lane, and he'll be keeping a nice strong leave and hopefully be able to get a big counterplay or counter bingo. So yeah, this looks fine. Let's see. Yeah, Owl, which I saw up here and considered, is of course better on equity. I also did see Rit, but I felt like I need to be a little bit more proactive here since my event line is still there, but it's a lot harder to hit now, having to end in an E. And I'm still down 65. I'm definitely assuming I'm going to need to bingo to get back in this game. So I just wanted to leave myself as many lanes as possible. And now I can end with a T with 2. I still have this R, which my EILST leave hits really well. So I think this is fine to sacrifice a couple points just for maximum openness. Ow does score more, but I mean, it doesn't really accomplish anything in terms of giving myself more bingo chances next turn. So I think WO is fine. I don't like Rit because it also closes down this R, which is a really good lane for me. He plays Per, which looks very good to stop any bingos there. And indeed, I do have Laziest, which doesn't play. I saw Laze, but I felt like I needed to keep that open. I do score 41, which gets me within 28. There, you could make the argument that maybe I should do that and try to somehow come back without bingoing. You could, but I think it's still fairly unlikely. He'll have a tempo, and there's a lot of scoring tiles left. I don't think that's worth counting on. And Rez doesn't even score that much less. It only scores 5 less. And it keeps good potential to draw another E and maybe bingo there, like with Saltire or something like that in a couple turns, or Isolate. I also do keep the S for Adlands and a Strum leave there, so I think that's fine. I'd like to give honorable mention to Sedentary, which I didn't actually see during the game, which is a cool extension there for Dentary. But yeah, I think Rez is okay here. Now he plays Seriate, and at this point I'm sort of crumbling, right, since I'm very low on time, and I don't really see a good way to come back to into this game. Something like Tella is fine. I mean, I have IST, so I can maybe still draw something with Adlands if he blocks the S in Seriate. I feel like Edda is probably a little better, though, just because it does keep an even stronger leave. And if somehow maybe he has, like, he could theoretically have drawn 7 consonants or just really rough tiles with that pool, and maybe if he can't really block the S or can't score anything there, it'll give me a better chance to bingo and come back into the game. So I think Edda's fine here. You could make the argument I'm down 100, I need to score as much as I can and play Tella. I think that's reasonable too, but I feel like I'd rather just prioritize bingoing ASAP, and then maybe I hope I bingo and catch him with like the Q and J in the endgame, and I can win that way. I feel like that's probably my best path to victory here, and keeping a high bingo percentage is probably still a priority, so I think Edda's pretty reasonable. Yeah, he plays SUQ, which looks good, and at this point, it's sort of moot. I missed Yeti, which is fine. It's never going to win, though. I mean, I'll be down 100, and there's already very few places to bingo. I pretty much would have to play with Adlands, and it's very easy for him to block that, just with even like a 2 other word here in most cases, or a 3, or maybe even some plays to this R. So it's not going to ever really win. Of course, it's I don't even remember what I played. Yeah, I played YE, which is terrible, right? I mean, it keeps 2 eyes. It does give an R hook that I don't have, and that I'm probably not even going to be able to use if I draw. So it really doesn't have a lot of merit playing YE like I did, but I just couldn't really come up with any reasonable way to win this game. Icy is actually probably best here, just for spread, now that I think of it, since it does give back a lane that's kind of annoying to deal with. I could maybe try to bingo and then hit an X draw there or something. So this maybe gives me some very remote chances of winning. I didn't see this during the game. This is almost certainly a better play, and it would have probably saved me some spread, but ultimately this game is basically lost at this point. So yeah, I'm not going to spend too much more time on the rest here. I'm down to 16 seconds, and I'm just sort of shuffling through tiles as quickly as I can. There's Outfigure is fun too. Another honorable mention in addition to Sedentary. Gotta love those 9 extensions. Let's see. I think I just played Izar, and yeah, I ran out of time here, I think. Let's see. Oh, I passed. He played Vet, and then like I said, I think I'll give him whatever his highest scoring out would have been if he went out next turn. Since I went over on time, I think that's the fairest way to do it. So I'm just going to quickly export this to Quackle and figure out what what the score would have been if we played out the game fully. So just give me one moment. Let me do it this way. Okay. Okay, and I'll move the webcam over to the bottom right so you guys can see the left-hand side. So yeah, I would have, if I got my pass in on time, then let's see what would have happened. So his best out with an N would have been on, and the game would have ended 5-13 to 3-31. So I'll go ahead and, well, I guess I'll give myself a 10-point penalty too for time, since that's how it would be in a tournament. So I'll go ahead and say he won this game 5-13 to 3-21. I think that's the fairest way to handle this. So yeah, a bit of a blowout there. But looking back, I don't really think I played all that badly. Just had a bunch of tiles that didn't really go well together. Ironically, I actually had both blanks this game because I bingoed with complete, and then I had the other blank in the end game. So even though I had both blanks, I still lost by almost 200, which is kind of surprising. But it definitely shows you that sometimes, I mean, the blanks are of course always good and they matter, but sometimes timing matters even more than blanks when you're playing. And it's very easy to get hung up on in a tournament, or like, oh, you know, I'm drawing all the blanks, I'm getting really lucky, or I'm not drawing any of the blanks, I'm getting so unlucky. But at the end of the day, Scrabble's about so much more than whether you get the blanks. It's about, I mean, of course it's about whether you play well and manage your rack well, but from the drawing perspective, it's also just about whether you happen to get the right synergy at the right time and happen to get bingos and high-scoring plays that work with what's already on the board. So yeah, the series is starting to narrow a little bit. It's now going to be 7-4 in my favor after this game. So HastyBot definitely starting to creep back, and hopefully we'll be able to get things back on track in game 12 and start winning again. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything I might have missed in this game, or any ways you think I could have done a better job getting myself back into this game, definitely feel free to let me know. But otherwise, I'll see you all soon for game 12. Thanks guys, have a good one.